Coach, talk a lot to the girls about chemistry on the team, the makeup. When you're putting together an elite team like this, that's always one of the considerations. And as someone who's been a two-time Olympian, you know what it takes, and those little nuances play a role. So, from a coach's perspective, talk about that.
Yeah, when you get to the highest level, the smallest things make the biggest difference on court. Everyone's talented, everyone's a great basketball player, and so you have to look for those things that are going to give you that little advantage. And I think team chemistry is one of those things that sounds small, but it's actually huge. And so that's one of the things that we looked at when we chose this team back in January, actually, was who works well together? How do these 12 girls mesh together? We've done a lot of work with our sports psychologist over the past 2 years just on that particular aspect, trust, love and care for one another. And so I think we've captured it. I think we have that special thing that teams look for where, there's so much trust and care and love amongst this team that, that almost supersedes how amazing they are on court as basketball players. I think it's one of those things that, when you put them together, it becomes exponential.
Break down the team for us. Shooters, players off the bench, energy players, speed. Break down the team for us.
So I think if you look at from a scoring and a shooting perspective, we kind of have three girls that we look to for outside shooting quite a bit. Rose Hollerman, who kind of had her breakout at the Para-Pan Am Games last summer when she was able to help carry us to that gold medal. Of course, we have Becca Murray, who has been a standard internationally since 2008, her first Paralympic Games. Somebody that we look to that's just steady, that we always know we're going to be able to get from her. And there's Desiree Miller, who she's someone that can will a team to victory. And so her outside game has grown to where now she's up in that group with those three, or with those other two, to where those are three that we look to for our outside scoring. Conversely, actually, both Rose and Desi have pretty good inside games too. So they're that unique player that can go inside and outside, which is really helpful for us in a lot of different situations. When you look at energy players, I think you look at Gail Gang. She is the heart and soul of a team. When she gets on court and when she's given her best effort, she's kind of that engine that makes us go. And she's one of those players that you'll look at and you're like, what? She's dabbing on the floor for basketball. She's the one that is the heart and the glue of that team. Folks coming off the bench as game changers, we kind of like to look at them. We have Megan Blunt coming in who, while she's not going to be a leading scorer, she's going to come in and do her job. And so a lot of the things that she does actually will go unnoticed. But she comes in and can give Gail some rest, or give Rose or Desi some rest, and make sure that we don't lose anything while she's out there. Natalie Schneider coming off the bench, I think it's huge when you can have someone with her experience being a two-time Paralympian coming into Rio, and with her size and her speed coming off the bench, and her ability to score inside. I think that's phenomenal when you can do that. We feel pretty lucky that we have somebody like that. And then I think Christina Schwab, who is her 5th Paralympic Games. She's someone whose role has changed a little bit, but she kind of brings that steady leadership. She's fast. When we bring her in with a particular lineup, when we bring our pressing lineup in, they completely change the complexion of the game and they speed it up. So we're really fortunate in that we're pretty varied and flexible within our roles. And so, while we have a lineup that we tend to look to for starters, we can actually start 2 to 3 different lineups and then have, waves of athletes come in.
Coach, talk about other teams in Rio that are going to be serious challenges on the road to gold. Germany,
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think, we certainly have a few teams that are going to present great challenges for us. The Germans will definitely present a great challenge. They're defending Paralympic champions, silver medalists from 2008. They have a great core of players that have been playing together for a while, which allows them, that chemistry that we talked about. They also have some great individual players that can score from many places on the court. So they'll definitely present a huge challenge for us. The Dutch will present a huge challenge for us as well. They have two outstanding scorers that that do a great job of creating shots for themselves. They're well coached, and so we know that anytime that we come against them, it's going to be a great game. I would also look at the Canadians and the British as well. The British are a really young team, and so they with a lot of talent, and I think they're a team that's on the rise. And so I think when you look at them, we'll have to be at our very best in order to be successful against them. And then the Canadians, who we played last summer in Toronto, were able to be victorious against them. But I think it's one of those things with them, like on any given day, when we put together a team, and any given day when you get out on the court, any of those teams can have an opportunity to win, which that's what you love about the Paralympic Games, and what you love about competing at that level. So I think with us, the Germans and the Dutch, it's any given day. I think any team can be successful, but I think that we believe that if we're playing at our best and we're doing the things that we know we're capable of doing, we feel we have a great chance to be successful.
And then finally, what's it mean? Longtime national team member, couple Olympics, coaching now for an extended period of time. What's it like to have the USA on?
It never gets old. Never gets old. It really forces you to take a step back and realize the path and the journey that you've been on to get here. I think sometimes we get really caught up in, especially as coaches, in the day-to-day of the preparation. Have I watched this film? Have we prepared for this team? Have we made sure the girls have these particular skills? And then, when you get to a training camp or you get to a competition and you put the USA on, you kind of get an opportunity to take a step back and this has been a phenomenal journey from, this young player on the national team through this long career. And so, you realize all you've put into it and all that everybody around you has put into it to help you get there, friends, family, teammates, that kind of stuff. So, and then your entire country. I mean, it's not a lot of people get to say that they've worn USA, they've competed at the highest level, and you're just representing something that's far bigger than you could ever imagine for yourself. And so I always have pride and feel honored every single time I get to put USA on.
A couple of these girls you actually played with, is it difficult to transition from coaching? Well, all of a sudden they're saying, "Hey, coach."
Yeah.
Hey, what's that like?
It was a difficult transition, I think, because you go from being teammates and friends to some extent having to be, not a disciplinary figure, but someone who is in charge and control. They have to listen to you, they have to do what you say. And so we had to learn how to communicate with one another. I think it's different when you communicate with a coach versus when you communicate with a teammate. Fortunately, we had some time to work those bugs out, work the communication out. But I think the great thing about it is that we know each other really, really well. And so they know what I want. They know how I played. How I played is how I coach. And so they know what my expectations are. I know how they play. And so I think that's what helped that transition, is that we are so familiar with one another. And my style of coaching doesn't change much from the way I play, or the way I used to play. But I think it's phenomenal. It's been really cool to go on that journey with them as a player, and now to change roles a little bit and be their coach. I mean, they're phenomenal athletes, so who wouldn't want to coach them?
And finally, in perspective here, the men's and women's basketball team now in Rio look safe bets to win gold. You guys, definitely inside shot if everything goes well, a shot at gold, and the same with the men's team. That'd be historic. Has that even passed through your mind? 4 programs could potentially have gold medals. And I know it's not to jinx it, but I just want to get your perspective.
Just got goosebumps there. So I thought about it a little bit actually watching the Olympics this past week. When you see the dominance of our men's and women's teams at that level, it's just phenomenal. I think to see just, one, the chemistry they all have together, how well they play together, just what phenomenal individual athletes they are, and then with the great coaching on both sides, it's always fun to watch them play and compete. I think with us, I think our fields are a little more balanced, and so we're going to have some more challenges moving forward, but I think we're ready. I think we've done the things that we need to do to put ourselves in positions to be successful. The girls are loose, they have confidence. We understand what we're going into, but we don't feel overwhelmed by the situation. I actually think our past couple of international competitions have given us the opportunity to be a little more loose coming into this tournament, and understanding that, you know, we're kind of climbing right now, coming from 4th place in London to 4th place at World Championships. You know, now we just have to take that next step to being on the podium and to getting gold. So we're confident, we're loose, but we're focused. And, you know, I think that's what those other teams with our able-bodied men's and women's team, I think you can see that in them too. They're confident, they're focused, they're also loose and having a good time. So I think it would be absolutely historic, and what a great story for the NWBA or for USA Basketball if they had, you know, 4 medal-winning teams, hopefully 4 gold medal-winning teams from Rio. Like that would be outstanding, especially for such a culturally relevant sport as basketball is in our country. I mean, our country loves basketball, so yeah, it makes me pretty pumped.
Anything to add?
I think just a big thank you to everyone that supported us across the country, friends, family, teammates, coaches, the NWBA, US Paralympics. You know, this journey would not have been possible without everyone behind us, and that's what makes it so special to go represent USA, is because we represent you guys and, you know, all the sacrifice that you all have made for us. So a huge thank you, and we're gonna go make you guys proud.